Hey, time to talk about SEO and what it is. So, to start, it's optimizing your website for search engines. That really is what SEO is. Now, SEO by an industry has decided to kind of change that definition. What SEO is to most SEO providers is not just optimizing your content or your code. SEO now seems to want to cover what really also is internet marketing. Let me write that out real quick for you. And what that is backlinking, you know, uh, your social metrics, and engagement, things like that. Um, Draw. So, but the truth of the matter is the pure SEO is taking your website and its content and the number of pages and everything you have, um, you know, and making sure you have all your keyword phrases in there and in the right order, like where you have your title being relative to one of your keywords, because that, all the little bots that search, the title in the HTML and the title on the page are two big indicators as to what's going on the page. As it continues to look down, it starts looking at the actual, the paragraph content and seeing, what's that all about. And it decides, it on its own decides to tell the search engine, Google, Yahoo, Bing, what your page and what your website is about. It's going to classify it itself. Their little spiders or bots, not that it looks like much, is really going to determine how you rank as far as relativity. Yes, as far as search engines are concerned, backlinks are a huge part. Social is a big part of your overall ranking. Well, social more and more, but still not a huge part of your ranking. But the SEO, search engine optimization, it has everything to do with the site. Yes, you will probably find SEO providers that cover internet marketing, social media, um, search engine marketing, which kind of falls under the internet marketing, and pay-per-click, link building, things like that. But ultimately, SEO is, title. Is your image optimized? Meaning is it the smallest file size that it can be in order to load faster? Because site speed is a big deal. If your page takes 8 seconds to load, lost the battle. You're looking for quick 2, 3, 4 seconds. It doesn't have to have everything rendered in that time. It just has to have most. People need to not leave your page because, especially with high speed, no one wants to wait 8 seconds for a page to begin loading, because it's got so much going on and so many big pictures and video, and that they can't see the content. 3 seconds. Attention span is that at best, really. If you can get something popping up, in 2, bonus. I mean, there's site speed is part of your ranking. So wrong one. So you got your site speed, got your image as part of that. Images. You have content relativity. And again, that comes down to, let me get rid of that. I want to make it look like I crossed it out. So your content relativity, which is each page. Google and Yahoo and Bing more and more are really trying to have each page index more so to its specific relativity than throwing everything at your home page based on what's on the rest of the pages. And that's really a good thing. I mean, there are times when it's lame because the cumulative is a lot of times better than the individual. But if I sell multiple products, you know, I would love to have people land on the most relative product to what they're looking for versus just my homepage and make them sift through, you know. Because if I have, well, let's do an example. Let's say I have each one of these blocks is its own category of what I offer. You know, I've got my picture, logo, title, content, footer, link. Maybe I've got another just graphic down here. Mountains. If each one of these are their own set of content, and I don't necessarily talk about it here, that person going from the search engine to this page, they might look and do what's called a bounce. Just go, nope, and they instantly leave to, let's say, a competitor who offers the same thing, but maybe they offer just this one. So it can be a really good thing. You know, you don't want people leaving to a competitor. You don't want them bouncing, especially back to the search engine to a competitor. What you want them to do is you want them to stick around. You know, you want them to clearly find what they're looking for. So having your pages optimized is going to benefit you. And it's not always a just do this and it'll work. Sometimes it takes testing, and unfortunately with search engines, depending on how quickly that, you know, that little bug I showed you last time comes back to your site to index or re-index in this case, you know, you're going to have a lag time, you know, and that's just part of it. So again, let's take a look at the re-indexing and the content changes, and I always do a little delta here for the changes. So you want those changes to be regular. I mean, even updating your site is part of it. You know, site, let's put change frequency. I'm just switching colors because I kind of feel like it. So change relative, you know, change frequency is a portion of it. You know, how many pages do you have? You know, and are each one of them add-on content, or is it useless? Or, you know, pretty much does this block build on this block, build on this block, or is it here's a block and then, you know, here's a bunch of little pebbles of different stuff just to try to make it look like a, you know, like you're at the rock quarry. You know, I don't know how to tell you that it really has so many things to do all the time. I mean, there's growing infinitely the number of websites out there, and most likely you're getting at least one new competitor a day, probably at least. If you do what you do well, you know, someone might be using you as their template to try to do what they're trying to do. You know, so every time you make a change, you might go to their website and they might make a same change. I mean, it can be frustrating. You know, you're trying to make your site better while someone else is trying to use what you're doing to make their site beat yours. You know, it can be extremely frustrating. I see it regularly. It's you know, drives you and the client nuts because you know, have a hard time winning. Nope. So that's why it's really important to always look at the different components that we've, you know, been talking about here. You know, we look back at, you know, let's look at this backlinking and social. So let's talk a little bit more about that, because people throw it under SEO. Might as well talk about it a little bit here. Backlinking is really one-way links to your site. But there's a ton more than just that. There's their PR rank. There's their how much are they trusted? Uh, Anchor text. I mean, there's just blah 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 blah. Social metrics. How many followers, how many pluses on Google Plus do you have? How many, Facebook likes do you have? I mean, how many Twitter reposts? And I'll be frank. Social media, love the technology. I hate it. Um, I hate that you have to constantly be going out into a realm, especially if it's not applicable to what you really need for engagement, to boost yourself in the rankings. Because I guarantee you, if it's A plus B and you're 1 and 2 in that keyword ranking on Google, and you're not doing social, guess what your competitor is going to be doing to become number 1? Social. So, and again, I love the technology. I mean, I'm such a huge, technology enthusiast. I really can't tell you that, I hate them. I just I don't like having to use something that becomes false because of necessity by industry standard. And anymore, it is. I mean, niche local companies, yeah, you can get ways around that a lot of times. But ultimately, it's, you really have to broaden what you used to do. That's why SEO now says that SEO is link building and social media. It's not, but they're going to say it because they now have to offer it because they can't get you ranked like they used to without that stuff. It's just part of the game. I know this has been a broad scope of a lot of stuff. It's been kind of random, but I get talking and I tend to sidetrack myself. Please feel free to go to cyphermarketing.com or post a comment or request if you want more detail, specifics. If you'll let me use your material, I'll make suggestions on your website. I'm not going to do, a $1,000 analysis on it, but if you want me to look at one pages of one page of content, couple paragraphs, make suggestions, I will, and I'll put it up as a tutorial for others to use. At this point, it's just covering groundwork. If people, if you guys out there want to get more specific, because I know theory can be boring, I know it can be hard to apply to the real world. If you guys want to let me use your content as example, so I mean, I would never give out passwords or usernames or anything like that, but if you want me to look at a page and make a couple suggestions based on a particular keyword, I probably have follow-up questions, which is why it might be better to go to Cypher Marketing, CIPHER, just like the channel, .com, cyphermarketing.com, and go to my contact. I don't know what the page is going to look like. I change it a lot. Right now I'm not really taking new clients, but I am willing to look at, for the purpose of doing these tutorials, look at a very tiny micro job, I guess, as it were, to help you, the requester, and anybody else who wants to watch these tutorials. So again, thanks for watching, and I look forward to your feedback.